Hey there, thank you so much for tuning in, and congratulations on your purchase of the Foundation Armor stainless steel sprayer. So today we're going to talk about how to test your sprayer to make sure it's properly functioning and how to troubleshoot common issues. So let's get started. Now, before adding any liquid to your sprayer, it's important to make sure that the tank is properly pressurizing and that the handle, the pump, is properly working. If you have already added liquid to your sprayer and the tank is not pressurizing or the liquid is not coming out of the sprayer nozzle, it's important to fully empty and clean your sprayer, hose, and wand before attempting any of the steps in this video. Alright, first up, let's check the pump and sprayer tank. With the pump handle in an unlocked position, cover the hose adapter with your thumb. Using the pump, build up a little pressure in the tank. Now, it could take 20 to 30 pumps to gain pressure when the tank is empty. So I went ahead and I pressurized the pump. Now, once you get a little pressure into the pump, remove your thumb or your finger from the hose adapter and you should hear air coming out like this. If air is coming out, well, you can skip to the next step and fast forward to later in the video when we talk about the hose. Now, if you removed your thumb or your finger from where the hose connects and no air comes out, well, then you need to check the seals on the pump handle and pump assembly. So to do that, simply unscrew and remove the handle and pump assembly from the tank by making sure it's in the locked position and turn counterclockwise, then it should easily slide out. The first thing you want to do is make sure the large pump gasket is present at the top of the pump tube. Sometimes these can fall off and end up in the bottom of the tank. So if it isn't on the pump tube, you want to make sure to install it. So the next thing you want to do is check the bottom of the pump tube to make sure the rubber check valve is present and it's not showing any signs of damage or deterioration. Now, it's very rare that the rubber check valve has any issues at all, but it's always good to check. The last thing you want to do is check the pump O-ring. Now, if you have the handle like I have now, if you slide the handle in and out of the pump tube like this, you should hear air escaping out of the bottom of the pump tube where the rubber check valve is. If you don't, you know the pump O-ring needs to be replaced, and changing the O-ring is fairly easy. The first thing you'll want to do is remove the pump from the tank if you haven't already, which I've already done that. Now, once the pump has been removed, you'll need to forcefully pull the handle assembly out of the pump tube to access the O-ring like this. You see, the O-ring, the pump O-ring, will be located at the end of the pump rod. Simply remove the O-ring and replace it with a new O-ring. Before installing the new O-ring, however, you'll want to lubricate the O-ring with silicone grease to make it easier to install and to make sure it functions properly. It's also important to make sure that the correct O-ring is installed. If the O-ring you've installed is not appropriate for the liquid being applied, the O-ring can degrade. And if you have any questions about which O-ring to use, please refer to the sprayer instruction sheet or contact a Foundation Armor technician. Once the O-ring is replaced, simply put the rod back into the tube and press down hard until you hear a click. Screw the pump back into the tank and repeat the pressure test. Now, if your tank still isn't pressurizing, please contact a Foundation Armor technician for further instructions. Now, if your tank is in fact pressurizing, that's great news. You can go ahead and start by checking the hose, the handle, and the sprayer wand. Before connecting the hose to the tank and the wand to the handle, check both ends of the hose to make sure there's an O-ring installed. If either end is missing an O-ring, install it before continuing. If both ends do in fact have an O-ring, you can proceed with attaching the hose to the tank and the sprayer wand. Once the hose, handle, and wand have been installed and the sprayer tip has been added, you'll want to pressurize the tank. As you can see, I have the hose right here connected to the tank. I have the hose connected to the handle, then the handle connected to the wand. Once the tank has been pressurized, which I already did, release the pressure by using the handle. When you squeeze the handle, you should hear air releasing from the nozzle like this. Now, if you can't release the air from the handle, check to make sure the handle is unlocked while pumping. That's very important. You can also control the amount of air that's releasing from the cone nozzle tip by turning the nozzle to allow for a higher airflow. If air is not releasing from the nozzle, well, please contact a foundation armor technician. Well, this concludes our sprayer setup and troubleshooting video. And again, if you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out to a technician. Thanks for watching and enjoy your sprayer.